Hello again, everyone. Welcome back after our Thanksgiving break. I hope you all had a good and restful break there. And I guess for some of you that are on primarily the campus courses, aside from maybe this one, this is the only thing you have left. The rest of your classes are completed. So I hope finals went well and you're able to transition. Maybe you're still in Omaha. Maybe you moved back home, but whatever the transition is, I hope it's that part is going well, and perhaps at Thanksgiving you were able to spend some time, at least maybe virtually, with some family and friends, and that you had a good weekend. I certainly did on this end. Watched a bit of football and ate a bit of turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing. That was all, as usual, really great. So we are in week 7 of the course out of 8, which means that we are certainly on the downhill slide. We're wrapping it up. There's nothing real major to complete in the course besides a paper that's due at the end of next week. But the purpose of the last 2 weeks here is to wrap up and really pull together this whole notion of what determinants of health is and what it means, at least relative to our program in healthy lifestyle management. So you may have read other things, as we talked about early on, from other areas about social determinants of health or factors that affect people's health. And this course, the purpose of it was to try to pull all of these things together and to have it make sense for when we're working with people on a one-on-one basis, what matters for these factors that determine health. Not necessarily looking at it from a population level. That's not necessarily the purpose of this course, and that I know is of other courses and perhaps other courses that you've taken for this program, and that's why this one particularly focuses on the individual person. So what are the factors that determine health for a person with whom I'm working with, to help them get to a place where they feel like they want to be or need to be, or whatever that is. So the topic then that we wrap up on both these last 2 weeks is this notion of wholeness. Okay, so we've been working our way towards this idea of wholeness since week 1. We started with individual factors that were very measurable, of factors that would be able to determine health. And we added in other pieces to it along the way, but a good place for us to finish is this notion of wholeness. What does that mean? I mean, so for what does wholeness mean for me? And that's one of the objectives for this week 7 is to define wholeness, and it can be defined, I feel like, in many different ways. But keeping it broad is what makes sense for me. So what is it that makes me whole? What is it that makes humanity whole, or makes the world, the cosmos, the universe whole? That is what wholeness means to me. So hopefully by this point in the semester, you have an idea that there are individual things that affect my personal health that help to make me whole. Okay, so that's part of my wholeness. But my wholeness is also part of the grander wholeness of humanity. And humanity's wholeness is part of the grander wholeness of the universe or the cosmos. Certainly the earth, but then broadening that out to the broadest notion of what that we know of for reality, I guess, is to say we are all part of that larger cosmos, and so that's part of our individual wholeness too. So when we think about what's important for health, bringing it back to what we generally talk about in healthy lifestyle management, how does this stuff fit in? Well, it's feeling connected, and it's knowing that we're connected, and that ultimately that our wholeness cannot be complete. We cannot feel whole unless we feel like we're part of something larger than us. Again, that's that paradoxical concept we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that we are unable to be whole unless we feel like we are part of something larger, only feel part of the whole. So it's kind of tough to wrap your head around that notion, but it's something to think about, and certainly appears to be true. So wholeness is our topic, and then how does that relate to well-being? And well-being, we typically think about well-being as something that's just within us, right? So how do we help someone else be well? And so what are the factors that affect that particular person? Is it economic? Is it food? Is it relationship? Is it, and the more granular things like exercise? Is it stress, chronic stress? All of those factors that are really important for our own particular well-being, those are part of the whole. And so this is where we sit then with this, and to try to wrap our heads around wholeness and our role in that as an individual person, as a human, as part of humanity, as part of this global network of people, and not just the people, but nature itself, and all things that we see in that connectedness that makes us whole. So all of those things are part of our own well-being, and that's then leads to our really day-to-day health. So that's where we hope we're getting to in this course, is having that idea of what does health mean, what does happiness mean, and how do these much broader concepts fit into that, because they very much do fit in very nicely. So then our readings for today, our one reading is that very tiny book, and I think it's technically called a pamphlet, but The Tyranny of the Urgent. And this is a book to help, hopefully, again, like the other ones we've read, to help you stop and think a bit about perhaps the life that we lead, and the decisions we make and our day-to-day activities. But this sense of urgency that we always seem to feel on a day-to-day basis that affects nearly everything we do in life. And then certainly I feel like leads to this notion of chronic stress, which, as we read about in the last book, leads to chronic illness, diseases that perhaps could be preventable if we didn't have a culture that pushed so hard and was so urgent to move forward on achievement and self-worth. And so this is a book, to hopefully get you to think a little bit about your way forward and how you lead your life in that way. And then the other part of this is, and this is this notion of having a purpose, and this idea is so fundamental to our health and well-being, and our wholeness, is to have a sense of purpose. And what is that purpose? And we could spend a great deal of time on this topic, and in fact, I do in some other courses. We read larger books and have much more discussion dedicated to this topic, because it is such an important topic. But I want to introduce it to you here, and so that you're have an idea about it, and can kind of think about it in that way. What is my purpose, and what does that mean for my health and well-being, for my wholeness? How does that purpose fit in? So those are the concepts, really, getting them out there again this week. But hopefully you can recognize how it's bringing all of this together relative to factors that determine health and personal wellness and well-being, and the broader wellness and well-being. So that's it. So this week we just have that little book to read. Little pamphlet. There's some videos to watch. They are TED Talk videos on, some of them are on well-being. One from Gallup that is, Gallup does a lot in this space for well-being. Gallup's take on it is very measurable, very reductionistic in my view. But then we look at another one that is this notion of well-being that broadens it out to be something larger. So hopefully you kind of get these two perspectives. What is well-being? Well, some people look at it like this, some people look at it like that. Which one is right? Well, they both are. I mean, it's both part of the whole, right? So that's why I put those two extremes in there. Then there's two videos talking about purpose, and some of the information by the same person, Vic Streckers at University of Michigan. Does a lot of great work in this space. Some of the information on both of those videos are overlapping, but it's okay because it's great to hear it more than once. So we've got that small pamphlet to read, 4 TED Talks to watch, and then the discussion at the end of this week. So that's what we've got for this week. So it's really a great. I love this week. The material in this week is fantastic. So a lot there to help with the discussion. There's a lot of avenues we can go on the discussion on this. So I look forward to reading those. So again, as always, if you have any questions, let me know. And I look forward to one more week after this week and wrapping things up next week. All right, everyone, take care.